Is on the wall. This medical staff isn't competent. This coaching staff isn't competent. It is what it is. It is what it is. Minutes restriction, back-to-back, load managed, sit, Caitlin Clark.
Not competent. That is how this whole thing opens. A flat, no-hedging shot at the medical staff and the coaching staff of one of the most talked-about teams in the league. And the reason he can say it before a single official injury report has even dropped? He already knows exactly how this weekend is going to end.
Don't buy tickets to these games. You never know when they will pull some BS and sit their star player. If you pay to see Caitlin Clark, unfortunately, there's no guarantee this year that she is going to be playing.
Don't buy tickets. Read that back and let it land. A guy who covers this team, who wants this team to win, is openly telling fans to keep their wallets shut because there is no guarantee the player they are paying to see actually plays. And remember who we are talking about. Caitlin Clark is the single biggest draw this league has ever produced. Aaliyah Boston is a former #1 overall pick and an all-star. The message to fans heading into this back-to-back is basically, roll the dice and hope. That is the mood right now, and it somehow gets stranger from here.
So, the first game is Seattle. Aaliyah Boston listed as questionable. We know what that means. And Caitlin Clark listed as probable. We know what that means. And then they have a game following up on Saturday for a back-to-back. So, just like last back-to-back, where we flip-flopped, Caitlin Clark played against the Sparks, Aaliyah Boston played against the Mercury, or vice versa. I can't remember. It's going to be the same thing this week.
Here is the actual schedule that has everyone on edge. Game 1 is up in Seattle. Aaliyah Boston lands on the injury report as questionable. Caitlin Clark lands on it as probable. Then there is a second game the very next day, a classic back-to-back. And if you have followed this team all season, you already know the routine, because they ran it last time. Last back-to-back they flip-flopped it. Clark played one game, Boston played the other. So the read this week writes itself. Clark plays Seattle, Boston sits Seattle. Boston plays the next one, Clark sits the next one. 1 star per night, rotated like a shift at a factory. Now resting players on a back-to-back is a normal thing in pro basketball. Teams do it all the time. But stay with me here, because the part that should actually bother you is not the sitting itself. It is the specific reason these two exact games got chosen, and I am going to show you precisely what is waiting on the other end of all this rest.
Aaliyah Boston, in case you guys didn't notice, she was on minutes restriction last night. Did any of the Indiana Fever stooges who sit there, hold their phone sideways, and record warm-ups, did any of them ask Stephanie White at the end of the game why Aaliyah Boston was on minutes restriction? Of course not. Of course not. Why would they do such a crazy thing and ask why Aaliyah Boston's on minutes restriction?
And here is a detail that got quietly buried in all of this. Boston was already on a minutes restriction the night before. Not sitting, playing, but capped. So think about the media's job in that moment. You have a former #1 pick visibly on a leash, and the natural question is simple. Coach, why is Aaliyah Boston on a minutes restriction tonight? Did anyone ask it? According to him, no. The people whose entire role is to hold the team accountable filmed the warm-ups, held their phones sideways, and let Stephanie White walk off without a single hard question about it. That is the part that turns frustration into distrust. Because when the decisions never get challenged in the room, the only people left asking why are the fans in the comments. And those are exactly the comments that keep getting locked.
At this point, do we even wait for the official announcement, or do I just come here and I forewarn you of the inevitable? You know what I mean? Do I just come here and I forewarn you of the inevitable, right? AB was questionable against the Los Angeles Sparks last game, in the first game of last week's back-to-back before she was held out for precautionary reasons. Now she's going to be held out tomorrow's game.
And notice how confident he is about a decision the team has not even announced yet. He is not waiting for the official word. He is forewarning you of the inevitable. That is a heavy thing to say out loud, but look at the track record he is leaning on. Just last week's back-to-back, Boston was listed as questionable against the Los Angeles Sparks, then held out for what the team called precautionary reasons. Now she is trending toward being held out again. Same language, same precautionary reasons. When a pattern gets this clean, the injury report stops reading like medical information and starts reading like a countdown clock. Fans have learned to translate it in real time. Questionable means sit. Probable means we will decide an hour before tip. That is not how injury designations are supposed to work, and it is a huge reason the trust is cracking.
For precautionary reasons. In case you guys don't realize this, Chloe Peterson, she puts this tweet up And then she locks her replies so fans can't respond to her. It's not only the Indiana Fever that's soft, it's their beat reporters too. It's their reporters too, and their journalists too. Scott Agnes, folks, we gave Scott Agnes so much shit over the last 2 years. He never blocked replies. He never locked his account. Chloe Peterson, if you can't handle the heat, go over to Blue Sky. Go over to Threads.
Then the story swerves away from the court completely and points at the people whose job it is to cover the team. He calls out a beat reporter, Chloe Peterson, for posting the news and then locking her replies so fans cannot respond. And whether or not you think that is fair, watch what it signals. He contrasts it with Scott Agnes, a longtime Fever reporter who, in his telling, never blocked replies and never locked his account across 2 full years, even while catching heat. So now the framing becomes, if you cannot handle the pushback, go post over on Blue Sky. Go post over on Threads. He even points at another familiar figure, the one who films warm-ups with his phone turned sideways, supposedly complaining that Twitter has just gotten too toxic. Set the personalities aside for a second. The real tell is that the media circle around this team is starting to close ranks at the exact moment fans have the most questions. When the reporters stop taking the questions, fans do not get quieter. They get louder, and they get a lot more suspicious.
If you're going to pull this crap again and sit out AB while Caitlin plays, at least start Timpson so she can pass to a big that can score. At some point, make a decision. Either she is healthy to play a full game, or she doesn't suit up. Watching this minutes restriction, load management horseshit doesn't cut it. Teddy bear, I agree. Well, I guess it's another wait until 1 hour before game time if Caitlin is going to be in or out. It's hard for fans who plan out a trip not knowing if she's going to play or not, especially since they have been seeing what's going on with the way Cece has been yanked around. This has got to be illegal.
And this is where it stops being an online squabble and starts costing real people real money. Think about who actually buys these tickets. Somebody 2 states away sees that Clark is coming to town, books a flight, books a hotel room, buys 4 seats so the whole family can go, and then finds out an hour before tip whether the entire reason they spent that money is even going to suit up. He says it as plainly as it can be said, make a decision. Either she is healthy enough to play a full game, or she does not dress at all. This minutes restriction, load managed, we will see how she feels limbo is the worst of both worlds for the customer. One fan even floats that the way Clark is being handled has got to be illegal, and to be clear, that is a frustrated fan's phrasing, not a legal finding. Nobody is breaking a law by resting players, but the fact that fans are reaching for a word like illegal tells you exactly how betrayed the paying customer feels right now. And it sets up the real question this whole video is circling. If both players keep saying they are fine, then why does this keep happening?
Fine. But are both now being stat managed for Kelsey Mitchell, Mo Billings, and possibly Raven Johnson. This really seems to be a complete sabotage job now. They both say that they're fine. So you know what? They both need to put their foot down and stop being played by the Indiana Fever. They got to stop being controlled by the Indiana Fever. If you guys want to play 30 minutes, play 30 minutes. No, Caitlin Clark, sit this one out so you can play against the Liberty on CBS. So AB is out, and now you don't got a big to rely on. This is sabotaging at its finest.
Here is the theory that is driving people up the wall. And I want to be careful how I frame it, because this is where opinion and fact have to stay in separate lanes. The claim going around pushed by the host and echoed by a lot of fans is that this is not really about health at all. Both Clark and Boston have publicly said they feel fine. So the argument goes, if they are fine, why are they being rotated out one at a time? And the answer people keep landing on is the schedule. Look at what is sitting on the calendar. There is a nationally televised game coming up against the New York Liberty on CBS. The suspicion is that this rest is being timed, so the stars are fresh for the big television window. Sit Boston here, sit Clark there. So everybody is available when the cameras and the ratings are at their biggest. Now, is that proven? No. The team has not said it, and I am not going to sit here and tell you it is confirmed. But here is the part that gives the theory teeth. Over in the NBA, this exact problem got so bad that the league wrote actual rules about it. A player participation policy that restricts teams from resting healthy stars with the tightest restrictions on nationally televised games. The bigger league literally legislated against doing the thing fans are accusing this team of doing. So when people call this a sabotage job, again, their word, not a stated fact, you can see where it is coming from. Because when you sit one star and you're back up big on the same night, you are not managing minutes anymore. You are weakening a team on purpose in a game that counts in the standings.
This is disgusting. And this person brings up a good point. Kelsey Mitchell's body literally broke down on her last season. Why isn't Stephanie White giving her load management? Because we're giving everybody else stat management. Right? AB 38 minutes, one game. CC doesn't. Yeah, these people are weird. They're weird. They're a bunch of weirdos. They're a bunch of weirdos. It's the last 2 games before All-Star break, and if you ever want to do a rest gimmick, seriously, the last 2 games before All-Star break and you're planning on resting your players? What kind of nonsense is this? They're about to have a week-long vacation. They can rest them.
And the inconsistency is what makes the health explanation so hard to swallow. Here is the contrast people keep pointing at. Kelsey Mitchell, the guard whose body by many accounts broke down under a heavy workload last season, is not the one getting this careful treatment. She is out there logging big minutes. Meanwhile, the 2 players who keep insisting they are healthy are the ones being sat down. If this were purely about protecting bodies, you would expect the player with the recent breakdown to be first in line for rest. Instead, it is completely flipped. And do not forget, Clark said after a game that she wants to play full minutes. She is on the record about it. So the team is not just overriding a healthy body, it is overriding what the player herself is asking for. Then there is the timing, which is almost comical once you notice it. These are the last 2 games before the All-Star break. A break, as in a full week plus of built-in rest, is sitting right there on the other side of these 2 games. If you were ever going to let your stars grind out a couple of full nights, it is the 2 right before a vacation, because the recovery is coming no matter what they do. Choosing to rest them right before the rest that is already scheduled, that is the single detail that makes fans feel like the medical story does not add up.
That. Reporters' closing comments on a basic news post is bizarre, and yet another example of the WNBA not being ready for prime time. Why are the comments closed on this? Good Lord, this is just getting insane. This is the same as saying, hey fans, it's your fault, you're not happy as a consumer, and you don't deserve a voice. This league was not ready for the call up to the big leagues.
And the way the organization handles the blowback only pours gas on the fire. When a reporter posts a routine news update and then closes the comments, fans hear one message loud and clear: your opinion as a paying customer does not count here. He puts it bluntly, this is basically telling fans it is your fault and you do not deserve a voice. Now, is shutting off replies really some coordinated league-wide conspiracy? Probably not. Reporters lock threads to dodge pile-ons. That is a very human reaction to getting swarmed. But perception is the entire game in entertainment, and the perception right now is a franchise and a media circle that can hand down decisions but cannot take the questions those decisions create. He pushes it even further and calls the whole thing proof that the league was not ready for the call-up to the big leagues, that the sudden national spotlight showed up faster than the infrastructure built to handle it. That is a spicy take, and plenty of people are going to push back hard on it. But you do not generate this volume of furious fans over a smooth, well-run rollout. You generate it when the biggest star the sport has ever had is being managed in a way nobody in charge will clearly explain.
Act as they please. This is Caitlin Clark talking about how she feels fine.
We're seeing Kelsey on the other side, though.
Caitlin, how do you feel just going into tonight's game, and will you be on a minutes restriction?
Yeah, I think I'll be on similar to last game, but I feel good. Obviously we traveled home on whatever day that was. I think it's good.
I feel good. Yeah, you feel.
So let us actually hear from the person at the dead center of all this, because her own words might be the most interesting evidence in the entire story. Asked directly how she feels, Clark does not hedge. She says she feels good. She mentions the travel. She mentions the schedule, and she still lands right back on, I feel good. That matters, because the entire justification for sitting her rests on the idea that she needs protecting from herself. And here is the star herself on camera saying she is ready to go. When a player publicly says she is healthy and the team benches her anyway, you have got a gap. A real visible gap between what the athlete is telling you and what the organization is actually doing. And that gap is exactly where all the suspicion has moved in and set up camp. Because there are only 2 ways to read it. Either she is quietly downplaying a real problem for the cameras, or the decision to sit her is not coming from her body at all. Neither of those is a comfortable answer for a franchise trying desperately to hold on to the trust of the biggest audience this league has ever pulled in.
Those, and their bench is really.
Look ahead to that, or is that going to hinge on what happens and how you feel tonight?
Yeah, I hope to play. Those and the keys to win.
Look ahead to that, or is that going to hinge on what happens and how you feel tonight?
Yeah, I hope to play. We haven't talked about it, so I can't really answer that.
Talk about the back-to-back.
As of now, I'm preparing like I will play that, but when we have time.
Doesn't sound too confident.
But listen closer to the back half of that same answer, because this is where the confidence quietly cracks. On the actual back-to-back, the exact thing everybody is worried about. She gets noticeably vaguer. She says they have not talked about it, so she cannot really answer. She says she loves to play, of course she does, but on the specific question of whether she will be out there for both games, there is no firm yes anywhere in it, and that hesitation tells you who is actually making this call. It is not the player deciding she wants a night off. It is a decision coming from above her, one she has clearly been told not to get out ahead of. That is why the host says she does not sound too confident, because a healthy athlete, one who wants to play, one who just told you she feels good, still cannot promise you she will be on the floor. The body is saying go, the organization is saying wait, and the fan who bought a ticket for that second night is stuck in the middle, refreshing an injury report an hour before tip, just hoping the reason they showed up even bothers to get dressed.
Either they're healthy or they're not. This I haven't seen load management this ridiculous. I haven't seen load management this ridiculous. Stephanie White, Indiana Fever, nobody in this organization is actually ready to act and behave like an adult. Just a bunch of children running this team, running this organization. Bunch of ill-prepared goofballs. Let me know your thoughts in the
So strip all the noise away, and here is what you are actually left with. 2 players saying they are healthy. A team sitting them anyway, one at a time, right before a break that already guarantees them rest, with a national television game conveniently waiting on the other side. A media circle closing the comments instead of answering the questions. And a fan base that traveled, paid, and planned around these games, being told to just trust the process and stop complaining. Maybe it really is nothing more than cautious sports science, and every single one of these dots connects by pure coincidence. Or maybe the fans are right to feel like the biggest draw in the history of women's basketball is being managed around the schedule instead of around her actual health. I know which way the frustration is pointing, but I genuinely want to know where you land. So tell me straight, is this smart, responsible load management protecting a franchise cornerstone, or is it a fan base getting jerked around one injury report at a time? Drop your verdict down in the comments and be specific about it. If you want the next breakdown the second this back-to-back actually plays out and we finally see who suits up, subscribe so you do not miss it, and smash that like button if you are sick of finding out an hour before tip. I will see you on the next one.